there's something about operating in general being, I mean, I started life as a GP, and I really should have done surgery because probably if you did a temperament analysis and stuff, I like to work with my hands and do something and fix something. So I'm always doing that around the house, right? So there are certain people who are suited to procedural work. That's the first thing. So as a training as a GP, I didn't have that opportunity except for some skin cancer stuff. So when the vasectomy opportunity came along for me 10 years ago, I started it and I thought, oh, I love this. I love this. And now the fact that I was actually working on guys' balls, I mean, that was a bit weird, but it was the actual surgical involvement, procedural involvement, being in the theatre, and I think they've done studies. They say when surgeons scrub, oh, they're happy, and so that's how I feel. Every day I go to theatre, as soon as I'm scrubbed, I'm in the theatre, we're in the groove, and got the nurses doing everything. I'm just happy place. So look, it is hard work when we've got big lists, but there's something, if you're the right sort of person who loves it, you always love it. And the other thing with specific to vasectomy is that we're dealing with healthy men who are very, very appreciative when you do a great job. So if you can do a really good job with your local anaesthetic and they hardly feel it, which is often the case now with me, so I've developed techniques and things with the needle. So they're just so grateful because they're expecting so much worse.
Right, that is one of the big things. And tell me more about how you counsel patients and what you do at the very beginning. Like, what are the types of interactions that you tend to have with your patients?
Okay, that's a good question. So we actually have formatted this nurse consult. So our nurses in another state ring the patients a couple of days before. And so they go through that. The patients are also sent a very comprehensive information booklet. So there's a lot of stuff done prior to me meeting the patient. And so I get to look at those notes and see how old the guy is, how many kids he's got, what type of job, does he like sports, has he had previous scrotal surgery, etc. So so that's helpful. And then when I finally meet them, I'm able to hone in on those particular issues that I think may be issues. And so we do a lot of counselling pre-op before they even come. And there's things around permanency. Particularly for the guys who are younger, or some guys don't have kids and are wanting to have vasectomy. So, look, rightly or wrongly, we've been concerned about the higher rate of regret and reversal in the younger men. And so at Murray Stopes across Australia, we have independent counselling with an independent counsellor for all men under 30, just to make sure they really have understood the issues of permanency. The reversal IVF is not 100%. Have they thought about sperm banking? Have these sort of things. So that's sometimes an issue, and sometimes it's quite tricky if you've got someone who is quite young, and I think we've all gone through this and we all have our different views, but someone who's perhaps, 23, 24, it's a tricky age. They can be quite mature, making a good decision, but we also are concerned if they've perhaps just didn't understand a lot of the issues and were just jumping into it, and maybe they've had a breakup in relationship, or there's something happening in their life. It's not a great time to make a big decision, that's permanent. So we would work with them. We were not saying no. We just say, look, we want to work with you. We want to talk with you more. We want you to get a bit more information. Why don't we just, it's not super urgent. Can we take a few months? So there's a bit that goes on there.
I can understand that. Nobody knows the future either. These guys may not want kids and then run into the woman that just they love and that does really want kids. And so every once in a while, it's great that reversal is available. And sperm banking. Do a lot of people opt for sperm banking?
There doesn't seem to be a lot. We try to encourage it. It's not super expensive here in Australia, perhaps $1,000 to set up, $300 or $400 to keep it going. But we've had a few, but a lot of them who are determined that they don't want a their natural kids, and they would foster, they would adopt. That's what they're saying. So what's the point of doing the sperm banking? So yeah, there doesn't seem to be too many.
That's really lovely. And one other question, this will be the last one, but You know, we're inspired by an ideology about an act of love. Vasectomy is an ideological standpoint for us, an act of love for your partner, for yourself, for the planet. Where do you stand ideologically on the idea of vasectomy in a sort of wider meaning?
Yeah, I think, Deirdre, it's similar to, you know, we align ourselves and we feel that connection with the act of love. It was a new concept to us when, you know, when Jonathan and you know, World Vasectomy Day came into our lives, and we started to think differently, that it's not just something for me, you know, we have the couples come in, or the men come in, and, you know, it might be that, oh, look, I've got enough kids, this is too hard, you know, I don't want more kids, or I don't have kids, I don't want kids. It's a drain, or it can be a burden, it can be a big responsibility. So I think that we see that, and that's quite legitimate. And then we also see that balance with, oh, look, my wife can't take the pill anymore, this is terrible, she's been on it for so long. You know, we're happy with our family. We don't want the stress. We this sort of thing. So they start to think more broadly about their family unit, the relationship, and then you get the guys thinking even broader than that. You know, when they're thinking about the environment, thinking about sustainability. So it is very interesting, and you know, I think as I said, we feel that we are aligned, that it is something that men choose with their families, but ultimately they're putting their balls on the line, right? So it is them, and we like it, we encourage it, we endorse it. It's something, a lot of these men, they've never had an operation, they've never done anything for controlling fertility, for contraception. So it's sort of like one big event. But, you know, more and more in Australia, our rates are going up 4% a year, you know, since 2014. I think part of it is Google and people researching and overcoming their fears, you know, and the myths about masculinity and pain. So there's a good little movement going along, you know, it's ticking up, you know, along. And I feel from speaking to men every day, you know, that a lot of it is them being reassured by truth and by knowledge. That's empowering. And then also our culture here, as in the other parts of the world, US as well, is that, you know, you kind of like, you know, you do something for your mates, or you do something for this, or you do, so it's a bit of that, like, I'll take one for the team, you know, it's kind of my turn. The wives let them know, you know, that's what is expected. And I think in our culture, it's kind of become a bit of a funny thing, but it's good to see them step up. But we see this in other parts of our culture, like we had the big bushfires, you know, so many volunteers went down to help, to just, you know, to put, you know, help out, put their lives on the line, and things like that. So there is that fantastic part of our culture that is like that, and it is generous. And so we see it as the men, you know, it is an act of love. It is putting yourself on the line. It is an act of generosity.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. This is Dr. Justin Lowe from Sydney, Australia, Marie Stopes. I've really enjoyed catching back up with you, and thank you so much for the interview. Really appreciate it.
That's good, DJ. I'll send some photos of some of our clinics doing that this morning too.
Do that, because we'll put a composite on the website too.
Okay. Awesome, right. DJ. Lovely speaking to you. All the best.
Thank you so much.
Okay, cheerio.
Cheerio.